this is the world that we live in today. And I'm calling it the age of anxiety. I mean, this is from a Time magazine cover back in 2003. They were calling it Understanding Anxiety, the age of anxiety. It's only getting worse. Who here would agree that anxiety is only getting worse? Raise your hand. Absolutely. So we look at it, there's so many factors that are contributing to this. It's social media. I think that's a big cause. When I speak with clients, they're just constantly bombarded. It's that stimulation overload. And this leads to you being connected all the time. We need this to disconnect. We're not robots. We're not computers. We need to turn off sometimes. So this is always on mentality leads to burnout. It leads to overwhelm. And it's leading to this age of anxiety, which we are seeing today. When we're looking at the age of anxiety, this is a scenario that I see a lot of times, especially with my corporate work. So when we're looking at this image, what thoughts come to mind? Overwhelm. Beautiful. Thank you. Chaos. Absolutely. What else? Recycling. Yeah. or the definite need for recycling. Absolutely. What else? Out of control. Absolutely. She just doesn't know what to do, right? It leads to the overwhelm. Yes?
Never-ending to-do list.
Never-ending to-do list, right? Continuous frustration. Things don't get done. I'm just too busy to do things, right? So when I see this scenario, I was in an office, was it 3 weeks ago, and I walked by the cubicles. I was giving a proposal for stress management. And I walk by the cubicle and I look in, and there's this young guy there, and he's sitting on his desk and just staring at the screen. And I'm like walking out, and I'm like, hey, pull back. I go, how's it going? He's like, yeah, good, man. And I'm like, you're good? Well, I go, what are you up to? He's like, oh, man, I'm so busy. The guy looked frozen. He looked frozen in time. I'm like, okay, so you're busy. What are you doing? He's like, I just have so much to do, I don't even know where to get started. I don't know where to get started. Is this the scenario that you see quite happen? So then I asked him, actually I didn't ask him, I looked at his monitor. I go, okay, let's see what you're doing. I look, it's work tab, work tab, work tab, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and another social media site. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, this guy is completely disconnected. He's so overwhelmed that he's checked out. This company needs my help. Like, we're working together now. But this is a situation that I see in every office I could walk into. First, this is a dangerous trend that I notice this a lot, especially with my corporate clients. And it's a complete lack of stress awareness. They just don't know that they're stressed out. And I walk into an office. Now, either they're in denial or they legitimately don't know. And they're sitting there, they're clearly stressed out. But you have to go, no, I'm fine, I'm just getting through the day. Can we make a change, right? And that's why it's so powerful to go into a corporate scenario, because giving them suggestions and education. If you have awareness, you have a foundation to start from. If you don't have that awareness, you don't have that base, you can't build from it, because you're saying, make these changes, and they're coming back saying, I'm good, why would I need to make this? So we have to build the case to start off with. Stress-related absences in the workplace. I just want to take a guess. How much do you think it costs annually for stress-related absences to companies in Canada?
$1 billion.
How much?
$1
billion. Okay, thank you. $1 billion, it's actually 3.5 billion annually. And that's stress-related absences. This is people calling in sick, going on sick leave, okay? Now, this is factoring out one major component, and that's presenteeism. They're talking about absenteeism, but presenteeism is estimated to be upwards to 7 times more prevalent than stress leave, okay? Than absenteeism. And now presenteeism is where employees are there physically, or either they're there sick or they're there physically, but they're completely disengaged from their job. The morale's down, right? They don't want to be there. They're tuned out. They have 3 work-related tabs and 6 social media tabs that they're just updating their Facebook status to try to get that hit of stimulation to keep them going through the day. I'm sure you've seen this, right? So these are the real numbers that we're focusing on, and these numbers are only getting worse. They're only becoming more and more rampant. So it's important that we educate corporate clients and even ourselves. If you're a solopreneur, this is so important for you to understand how can you manage your stress to become more effective, to be more efficient, and to perform at a high level. So this is what we're going to go through today. So yeah, it's from the Canadian Policy of Research Networks study, just so you can cite it to yourself. It's from StatsCan. But this is the case, okay? What's the fear? What is, I got two 2, 3 pity laughs. Okay, thank you. Usually that joke kills. Okay. All right. So what's the fear? When we look at it, what are we dealing with here? Well, when we look at it, you have to factor in that we are biologically hardwired to have this fight or flight response. We're supposed to fear the tiger, the dinosaur that's going to attack us, and it gets our system all jacked up on adrenaline, right? You get the cortisol spikes, and you're ready to fight for your life. But when we look at it, in today's society, we're in the safest time ever. There's no world wars going on, right? We're not fighting animals to eat, to survive. We don't have that many threats that can kill us, aside from ourselves, right? But we're not facing these predators that are out there that could possibly take you out. So what's that doing is we have this hardwired system that's looking for stress, but we don't have the major stressors. So now other factors come in. When we look back at farmers, like back in the day, depression days, they had a whole other set of worries than today, right? The whole country was up in shambles. Today it's like, well, it's expensive to live in Vancouver, right? Making ends meet can be a challenge, but we're not facing these catastrophic thoughts. So when we look at this, we have to understand that we have this whole mechanism in our bodies, but it can be triggered at the wrong times. It's a false alarm, essentially. So we're going to go over definition, stress versus anxiety, two completely different things. So stress, we're speaking about tension, okay? Tension. If you know somebody that's stressed out, or you're stressed out yourself, what is the main precursor? Is it, do you have sore neck? Do you have tight neck muscles, neck and shoulder, right? Your head, I see people right now. Stress is tension. When we look at it, we're feeling tense, so it can be our body. Another key one is our jaws. How many people go, oh my God, I just have a sore jaw. It's leading to headaches, right? Chronic headaches. These are all contributors. Stress is tension. When you're tense, you're feeling stressed. It's not a feeling of panic where it's like, oh, I got to get out of this. It's just like, oh, I just feel off. I feel tight. I don't feel good. Now, anxiety, we're looking at the anxiety world, that is fear. Now, it's typically fear of the future. You're looking in the future going, am I going to be able to do this? What's the future? It has a lot of question marks around it. Now, anxiety, it's more of a dull sensation. So it's a feeling that something's off. That's another common situation where people will say, something's not right. I feel off. I'm not sure what it is, but they can't pinpoint it. But they're like, something's just not right, right? So when we look at it, anxiety, fear of the future, not sure if we can do it, not sure if we're good enough, not sure if we can make it. It's all these questions, what if, why? That's leading this. Stress is the tension side. So we're going to go through that. And you know what, since we're here, I might as well touch on it too. Panic is the instant situation, just overwhelming, panic attack, massive adrenaline, fully kickstart, it's hard to think, you just become completely overwhelmed, but it's in a short duration. That's the key though. When people are living in a state of panic, they're worried thinking, I don't know if I'm going to have a panic attack for the next hour or 2 hours. It's physically impossible for you to have a panic attack for more than 15 to 20 minutes because your body is burning through all your glucose. That's why if you've ever had a panic attack, at the end of it, you're exhausted. It's because you have no energy. And what you're looking for is quick energy right after, right? And then if we want to look at depression, typically depression is reflecting on the past, right? So you're looking at the past. What if I had made different choices? Why did I do this? A lot of regrets. So those are I'm just setting up the different contexts. So stress, we have tension, anxiety, fear of the future. Panic is present, I'm going to die, simulation right now, false alarm, it's life or death. And then depression, we're looking in the past. So it's just a way for you to correctly identify where you're at. Is that helpful? Very excellent. So I'm going to show you something that's even more helpful right now. Sound good? Yeah. Yes, okay. So it's the 4 main precursors to stress, okay? This one, I'm telling you, if you can tattoo it on your arm, do it. I won't pay for tattoo removal, but I will advocate getting it tattooed. It is that beneficial. My clients, when we go through this, they're always like, oh my God, they keep coming back to it. It's so simple and easy, but it puts you on the right path, okay? And it's this, Holt. Stands for hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Okay? Hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. These are the 4 most common precursors to stress. So who here has ever been maybe a little bit snappy if you haven't eaten in a while? You get a little bit irritated, yeah? Okay, everyone. So that's the situation that I call hangry, okay? Hangry, and it's very common, okay? Hangry happens a lot. It can be very damaging to relationships, okay, to employee morale amongst coworkers. It has impact on everyone. When you're just like, oh, you snap and you're like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh, I haven't eaten in a while. And then you eat something, you're like, hey, I might have overreacted. I'm sorry, right? I'm sure we've all been there. So hungry, when we haven't eaten in a while, our insulin levels spike, we get lightheaded, we can't think as well. That's a common precursor to stress, right? Angry, if you're angry, you're just gonna be more irritated. You're irritable, you're gonna be tense because you're angry. It's like, I'm not feeling nice and relaxed, I'm feeling tense. Not a good way to be, right? The last one, lonely. If you're lonely, isolation, if you want to torture somebody, let's look at prisons. What's the biggest form of punishment they have in prison? In the hole, isolation, exactly. It's the same with us. As an entrepreneur, I can tell you the most damaging part is the isolation. If you're not working in an office with other people and you're by yourself for X amount of hours a day, day in, day out, that is what takes the biggest psychological toll on you, where that's where it hurts. We need to be with people. Like this group here right now, we met each other before, we're having handshakes, we're having conversation. It's fun. We like to meet each other, right? That lifts your spirits. And the last one is tired. And this is one I see time and time again. It's if you haven't had a good quality sleep, you wake up, you're like, oh, I just feel terrible. And then you go through work and you just feel off. Again, it's leading to this tension. It's tired. So we're going to go through some techniques to get a better quality of sleep as well. Okay? So this is something that I'll share a story with you. One of my clients, he was a younger gentleman. He was 22 when we first met. And he was living with some major anxiety. He hadn't left his apartment in 6 months. And his dad called me in because he's like, I don't know what to do. His dad basically had to stop working because he was afraid to leave his son at home because he was saying, I don't know if he's going to try killing himself. He's like, he hasn't left the apartment. He's not calling his friends back. He doesn't want to talk to anyone. And they were living a life that it was the two of them in the apartment, just sitting together, watching TV all day. It's not a healthy way to live, and it only gets worse. Again, we're conditioning ourselves. When you condition yourself, it's either conditioned to become positive, to be moving forward, or you're conditioning it in a negative way. So they brought me in because his dad was at his wit's end. He's like, look, I don't know what's going to happen with this guy. This can't continue. He's like, if you can do anything, I'd be very grateful. So through the process of working together, we kept making changes and making adjustments. He was reconditioning himself. But I'll never forget, I got a frantic phone call from him. It was 9:30 at night. And it's ringing, I'm looking at him like, oh, okay, what's going on? So I answer the call, I'm like, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh my God, Lucas, I think I'm gonna have a heart attack, I think I'm dying, I need to go to the ambulance, and this and that. I'm like, okay, hang on. I go, okay, when was the last time you ate? He's like, 5 hours ago. He goes, I'm gonna eat something, I'll call you back. Okay. 5 minutes later, I got a phone call. I ate a banana, I'm good, thanks. Crisis averted. And I kid you not, this is what happens time and time again, is we forget to eat. It happens to all of us. But when our blood sugars are spiking, we can't think. It feels that something's off. And it's predisposing you to be more sensitive to something going wrong. And so when this leads to this whole thought of going, something's wrong, alarm bells are going off, I need to make a change, right? And so when we go through this is what switches up our mindset and allows us to be more in control. So we got to eat more regularly. Again, we're providing fuel for the Porsche. You're not going to run your tank to empty and then get out and then push it for a mile to the gas station and put more in. No, when it's getting low, you're going to get out, you're going to give it some more fuel, and you're going to keep continuing. Your body is the exact same way. So when we look at it, and this frames it, Holt. So when we're going through anxiety, my clients, this is why this is a game changer. When they wake up and they don't have an understanding of why they're feeling stressed or anxious, they go through this checklist. And what they're doing is they're making a rational decision of why it makes sense. When it doesn't make sense, that's where the anxiety really peaks, because they go, I don't know what's going on. But when we go through this and you go, you know what, I actually had a rough night's sleep and I haven't eaten in a while. Okay, it makes sense, and now I can proactively do something to change my body, to change my state. So it's extremely empowering to focus on Holt.